Yo guys, it's slyroh. You already know that today I am finally bringing you a video of me ranking every single anime that I watched in 2022 from worst to best. I've been excited about making this video for a long time, and I have here a tier list that I have made myself, putting all the anime that I watched this year, all 35 of them, and I'm going to rank them from worst to best. Despite the fact that this is a tier list, I will be ordering them from worst to best, and that is what I'll be doing. They are listed, the ones that I watched are listed at the bottom there in alphabetical order, so it's not going to give the order away. I will generally be ranking them by their sort of quality, but yeah, this is going to be very specific. I will go from my 35th favorite anime of the year to my very favorite anime of the year. I'm very excited to get into this. Hopefully you all are as well. I decided to end up doing a tier list for this just because it's going to make it easier to edit. And yeah, I mean, I don't really do anime clips and stuff like that on my channel anyway, because I don't like messing with anime copyright. So hopefully you all understand that and are excited to get into this. So hopefully if you don't see your favorite show on the list, that means I have not watched it. Feel free to let me know about some of the stuff that I missed out on that you liked. And yeah, I'm not going to be talking too much about what these shows are. I do a bit of an anime recap at the end of every season that sort of goes over what I watched and tells you a little bit about them. This is more going to just be my opinions on them, what I liked, what I didn't like, and that is just going to be that. So, let's try and not make this too long. Let's go ahead and get into this. Let's go ahead and start ranking all of the anime from worst to best. So, the absolute worst anime that I watched this year are the ones that I didn't even finish watching. By default, those are the worst, because if you're not interesting enough for me to finish, then they are the worst. However, I do have an order within them. So the one that we are going to start off with, the absolute worst anime that I saw this year was Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. This was not a good show. I watched one episode and it just did not really do anything for me. The main character was very unlikable. They didn't really set like a very interesting premise in any way. The very end of the episode kind of showed like a slight bit of interest moving forward, but like I just didn't really care. I wasn't rooting for anybody. I didn't really care what happened. And yeah, by all accounts, this was not a good show. Apparently the manga is very good, and so if you did see this premise and think that it was interesting, maybe read the manga, but I probably am not going to bother. And yeah, by all accounts, as far as I am aware, just about everybody agrees that this was a very, very bad show, so I do not regret dropping it after one episode. Another anime that I do not regret dropping after one episode is, I was going to say, let me see if I can figure out how the alphabet works. Shinobi no Itoki. Yeah, it was like a ninja anime that was like, oh, you're gonna be, whatever. Oh, gosh, I can't even think straight. But essentially, it was just not very good because the setup was the fact that the main character didn't know that he was a ninja and, like, was connected to the secret underground ninja clan. And so, like, to be trained as, like, to be the next head of the secret underground ninja thing, you're gonna go to ninja school where there's, like, a million other ninjas, and I don't know. Just the premise was, like, very stupid. The characters were, like, meh. There was nothing to get invested in. And again, I didn't really hear anything positive moving forward, so I don't regret dropping it after one episode. Yeah, not very good at all. I cannot believe that this anime even came out in 2022. It's crazy how long like the winter 2022 season feels. And the fact that Tribe 9 was one of those anime, this one is, come on, it's a little bit better, because I did make it, I think, 8 or 9 episodes. I tried. This at least had an interesting premise, with the extreme baseball stuff. The characters were off the wall. This is, I think the creator of Danganronpa had, like, a pretty big influence. I don't know if he was, like, a main director or writer or whatever, but it just sort of fell off pretty hard. The extreme baseball got a little boring. The characters were just so insane, and I don't know, man, like, it just didn't do it for me. I could have forced myself to watch like the last like 3 episodes, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it, so that is why it ends up that low. And a show that I'm surprised that I haven't heard more about since it came out, that I also dropped, we have this and then one more, is Sabukui Bisco. This didn't seem bad. I made it through, I think, halfway of the second episode, and I just couldn't tell what was going on. It was just a lot of stuff happening, and none of it's super interesting, but the animation was really good, and it seemed like the type of show that I could, I'm surprised I didn't see more people talking about it. I don't know if it didn't end up being that good or if people just overlooked it, but it just seemed like one of those shows that was going to have like a small, very vocal, like big fan. Like oh, what was that anime last year that like got nominated for Anime of the Year, and like half the people hadn't heard of it, and half the people were like, it was sort of like the pretentious pick of like, oh, this is like one of the best anime of all time, and nobody's watching it. Oh gosh, I cannot remember what that was called. And I watched a little bit of that one too. But it felt like to me like this could have been that, but not quite. For different reasons, but it just didn't really hit for me. And again, I still haven't heard a single person talk about it since, so I don't know if it fell off hard or what the deal is, but yeah, that's typically Bisco. And then the last one that I dropped, and it wasn't even that bad, was Yuri Deco. Yuri Deco had a really interesting world and really kooky, off-the-wall characters that I did enjoy, but it sort of didn't have a good overall plot that I cared about. The girl was like separated from her parents or whatever, and then like they kind of like tease that a little bit, but at the same time it almost seemed like she didn't really care about if she ever made it back to the world with the parents or whatever, and was fine doing like the shenanigans. And like, I don't know, episodic shenanigans are fine, and there are some that are on this list that I actually enjoyed a lot more, but I just didn't really get invested in any of the characters. They felt like so off the wall that like there wasn't any part of them that were grounded in like reality, and I think that was the part that sort of missed the mark for me. But I did make it about 6 episodes in, and without being surrounded by like a bunch of other stacked anime in a different anime season, I probably would have finished watching Yuri Deco, but for the season it came out in, I couldn't really bring myself to do it. But that is all the ones that I dropped, and that is 31 through 35, so we are now to our top 30. And so the worst anime that I have finished that but is still not very good is Love All Play. Love All Play is, I mean, it's pretty sad. It's not even the best badminton anime of the year, which is like crazy to say because there was only 2 of them to my knowledge. So yeah, Love All Play just had really bad pacing. They would like spend an episode or 2 on like practicing for like the big tournament coming up, and then like they would fast forward through the entire tournament just to be like, oh, I can't believe you lost, or I can't believe we won. And it's like they didn't really focus much on the matches. It's like they would focus on like gearing up for the tournament. They would try and set up like plot things, and then they would just like speed past all of them. They spent through an entire year within the first half of the show, I think. Like they had new people joining the team like halfway through the show, and then they were like speed running through all of that sort of stuff. It's like they glossed over so much. They didn't really have any of the setup. They didn't really have good payoff, but I'm sort of a sucker for sports anime, and even though that it kind of did everything in the most generic way, it was still interesting enough for me because I like sports anime. The main character was pretty cool. I did like him. He was kind of plain, but I think that's sometimes a good change of pace. I like sometimes in sports anime, I prefer the plain characters to the over the top ones, which I'm going to end up contradicting myself way later on in the list. But yeah, I think it was a nice change of pace, but because he was kind of plain, he didn't really have that much. So like what would happen is like later on is he would just like randomly start having like an issue that there was like no build up to, there was no lead up to, and he's just like, I don't know how to get over this, whatever. And it's just like it came out of nowhere, and then he would get over it, and then like something else would happen, and I don't know. It was just kind of like they could just throw anything at him, and it would be like whatever. So Love All Play, not very good. If we do want to talk about the best badminton anime of the year, it's only one spot higher because that is Salaryman's Club, which balanced the badminton side with like this like corporate business thing. They're like on a corporate business team, which was super weird because early on like there was like a rival badminton player like on the TV being like, oh, you're one of the best badminton players ever, but like they all just still work for like corporate teams. Like imagine your like local like random adult like rec league baseball team just like getting like news coverage. It doesn't happen, and so that sort of made it not super believable. But the characters are a lot better. The camaraderie between them is very good. I just think that it's a little bit forgettable. One thing that I do want to bring up is please, no matter what you think about this anime, please look up the opening. The opening of this anime is so insanely good. It is one of the catchiest songs of all time. I cannot stop listening to it. I'm listening to it to this day. I absolutely love it. It's probably not my favorite opening of the year, but it's definitely like top 5. And an anime that good has no business being the opening for an anime this like mediocre, but it's so good. Oh gosh, it is just insane. I'm not sure when I want to move from the C to the B tier, but I think we're still staying in C tier as we're going to go to number 28, which is going to be, let me find it, let's talk about Dance Dance Dancer. This is also a show where I could see some people being like really really into it, and I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty good. I forget this character's name, but he aggravated me to no end. The main character also really aggravated me to no end. He was like kind of a brat. I like this show had probably the strongest like first like 3 episodes of maybe the entire year. But it fell off super hard, and it was hard to get invested in the main character's like journey. It was hard to get invested in like any of the side characters. It was just not really doing it for me. The animation was nice. This also has a banger opening and maybe my favorite ending of the year. I don't know. The endings are a lot less competitive than the openings overall for anime this year, but Dance Dance Dancer has a really good ending song, which was really really cool. I think that was also one that was only 11 episodes, and for some reason when it's like 11 episodes versus like 12 episodes, it just feels like the journey's over that much faster. And I think that was one of them, but I'm not entirely sure. I might be lying about that. But animation was good. Outside of the fact that the eyes had like weird extra glints to them, their necks were like super long. Like everybody in this anime is a giraffe. It was pretty insane. But you know, there's probably people out there that do really like it. I'm glad I watched it, but it was not my favorite. Yeah, I think we're gonna say in C tier for one more entry. Man, I can't believe I'm saying this. Yeah, I'll throw Classroom of the Elite season 2 here. I watched season 1 and season 2 kind of back to back. I'd never watched Classroom of the Elite before, and I do think that season 1, you know, sort of teases a lot of interesting stuff. I do think that Ai Koji, the protagonist, is one of the most interesting main characters of all time, but they don't really do that much with him in terms of exploring, you know, his motivations and stuff like that in season 2. It's kind of just becomes a continuous, like, you know, moving from like one you know, test to the next test to the next test, and being like, oh, how are they going to navigate this, how are they going to do this, and like it was fine, but I kind of started to get tired of like the characters and the setting. I feel like they didn't do all that much new, but like it's not bad, so it's definitely on that border between C and B tier. But as time goes by, I feel like I feel like when I first was watching Classroom of the Elite, I'm like, man, this is really really good, and as time goes on, I'm just like, was it that good? I don't know, I don't think so. But I don't know, that's just how I feel right now. And that was number 27, so we're actually on to number 26 now, and already, I think I'm ready to go to B tier. There's actually going to be a lot in the B tier, I think. But yeah, I'm okay with that. So, at number 26, it's actually kind of hard to see from this picture, but this is Birdie Wing Golf Girl story. This is the golf anime with the girl that was like doing underground betting golf like for the mafia and stuff, or like against the mafia, because she was like, you know, just kind of living on the streets with like orphans and stuff. But then she ends up going to like a golf school essentially. I think once it reached that point, it became a little bit more like your stereotypical sports anime-ish type thing, but I do still like the two main characters. Sometimes their relationship rivalry, like sometimes they get, you know, it's a little bit much, just like they'll be like too angry at each other for like no reason, and I feel like sometimes it's a little bit overblown, but it's good, and I'm pretty sure season 2 is still coming out, so I'm interested to see what they do moving forward. But I can't believe that they found a way to make golf fun to watch, because that is not a sport that I can find any enjoyment watching in real life. So congrats, Birdie Wing Golf Girls story. You did a good job at making golf enjoyable to watch. So yeah, that is a solid show. Number 25. All right, there we go. Now it's time to talk about Demon Slayer season 2. Hooray! Demon Slayer season 2 was one of the most beautifully animated pieces of media I've ever seen, with some of the most mediocre, bland characters I've ever laid eyes on. I like, dude, Tanjiro would just like, you know, he had an entire like character arc off screen being like, I learned how to do this move, so now I can, you know, breathe fire or whatever. I don't even care. But like none of that was really shown on screen, which was weird, because like the last couple episodes of season 1 was like all about just like learning, but the techniques that he learned I don't think even really applied that much in season 2. Zenitsu was one of my favorite characters when he was introduced. The idea of somebody that like falls asleep and then has these like insane powers, and then like I've been excited to watch him sort of grow and become more confident and utilize those powers, and I feel like that doesn't happen And Inosuke is just sort of a character that starts out good and is going to sort of just stay there. He's kind of made to be a static character, I think. So there's not much more that you can do with them. And I forget the main like gray haired or silver haired like guy that's like the leader, or like the other main guy in this arc. But like I didn't really care for him either. I didn't really care for most of the characters, and I get a little bit bored with the action. Like, it was really good, but it also kind of goes on for a bit long. I like character-centered stuff, and I feel like the characters really dropped the ball for me. So, very pretty. Also, banger of an opening. Second season opening, better than the first one. I will just go ahead and say that. But in terms of the actual substance to it, I mean, Demon Slayer Season 2 left a lot to be desired, and I now don't really... I don't know. I don't really champion Demon Slayer as like some amazing show anymore, especially when there's like a lot of other shonens that have come out and just been better. So yeah, that's my Demon Slayer 2 opinion, and that's probably not even the hottest take on this list, unfortunately enough. But we are one spot away before I have to worry about that. But now we are moving on to number 23. I'm gonna go ahead and just keep bringing up numbers so you know sort of whereabouts on the list that we are. And number 23 is going to be Akiba Maid War. Yeah, Akiba Maid War is a fun, ridiculous show with the maids and their turf wars and gang wars and gun violence and all that sort of stuff. The characters were really good. Ranko was like one of my favorite characters of the year. Like definitely best girl material for sure. And just the entire wackiness was crazy. I think once the initial shock sort of wears off, there is a couple episodes that get a little bit like repetitive, but like I don't know, some of the stuff was really fun. Like the baseball game was like fun. That really stuck out. The ending, the last like 2 episodes were really good. And obviously like the first episode was very good and it hooks you in. So the middle part, a little bit of a lull. I think the characters are good, but overall not great. You know, everybody sort of feels like they're not like quote unquote morally like good person, which is always fun to witness, and it's just sort of a weird off the wall show. But generally, this would probably a good time to bring up that I really only try to watch anime that I think I'll like, and I do end up liking most. So that's why I'm already at the B tier, despite the fact that I'm not even halfway through this list, is because like this is like we're still in like good show territory. There's just a lot of good shows that came out, and there's quite a few great shows that came out. So that is, things like this that are just good. They're unfortunately going to fall a little bit, but it is still a good watch. All right, here's going to be the opinion that if anybody cares about my opinion at all, they're not really going to like, but Made in Abyss Season 2. I really like Made in Abyss. The first season is very good. This is another show that I had never seen before, so I watched Season 1 and Season 2 pretty closely back to back. Season 1 had a lot of the, mystery, the exploration of what the Abyss is, all that sort of stuff. And I feel like Season 2 sort of just told its own story and introduced characters that I didn't really care all that much for. There wasn't that much development for the existing characters that I was hoping to see, and it was really good animation. The soundtrack, still fantastic. But again, the characters left a little bit to be desired, for me personally. So it's sort of hard to rank this anywhere good, because I feel like lower than this is like too low, but higher than this is just like, I don't know, do I feel that strongly that it should be that higher? It's weird. It's weird. People are definitely going to be saying this is like their favorite anime of the year. People are saying that they like this more than Season 1. I'm personally just not really seeing it. But I also just didn't connect to the new characters nearly as much as I did to the existing ones, and there just wasn't that much growth for the existing characters. So that's just sort of my only hang-up with it, but it's still a good show, and I might just be completely wrong, and that's okay. That is why we all have opinions. We're gonna stay in B tier. Number 21, let me find it. I don't know if this starts with a T or an L. I did find it somewhere. There it is. This is The Little Lies We All Tell. It's a fun little show. The dynamic between the 4 characters is really good. I haven't heard anybody else really talk about the show, but it's definitely worth a watch. It's very goofy, everybody has like their own little secret, and you know they don't do a good job of keeping it, but you don't really need to when the alien that is infiltrating the school can also rewrite the minds of like everybody and memories and whatnot. So she can sort of do some crazy stuff like that. But it was a really good show, you know, sort of a sad, bittersweet ending. It's actually kind of funny, the ending, when you really think about it, but it's definitely worth a watch. It is a good show, and yeah, it comes in at 21 for me. I don't have that much more to say about it. It's just one of those, a nice, lighthearted, comedy type show. So very, very good stuff. Number 20, which I'm surprised. I think when I was watching this, I would have said this was probably going to end up being one of my favorites, but over time, you know, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't know if it's like that good. So My Dress Up Darling is going to be what ends up here. And I think like, oh man, I don't remember the girl's name, but she's also like in contention for like best girl of the year for sure. The main guy was good, but sort of left a little bit to be desired by the end of the season. And that's kind of what ended up happening. Is I just feel like the second half of the season just sort of became a little bit, you know, static. There was like a new character that was introduced that I really did not like. So that didn't help. But I do like the dynamic of the two main characters. I do like sort of what they're doing. This is another show that has a banger of an opening. Not one of the best ones of the year, but definitely up there. I don't really have that much to say. I mean, you know, My Dress Up Darling, you know, it's, you know, good main characters, good chemistry between them, but probably not that much. And like, there's still a lot of really good shows down here. I don't think you understand. There's just so much good. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to one of those good. Number 19, we're gonna put Summertime Rendering. This is a show that's definitely a little bit of a sleeper hit. The people that have watched it will definitely tout it as being one of the best of the year, and I can see that. I do think that the mystery was a lot more supernatural than I was expecting. I thought it was going to tease it for a little bit longer and maybe have a more realistic thing, but it sort of, you know, goes into the supernatural territory pretty quickly to where sort of anything can happen, and therefore it's hard to be like, whoa, how could this happen, when the answer can generally just be explained with like, oh, this supernatural power is like how this can happen. But it was still interesting. The characters are good. This is another one where like all the characters feel very like down to earth and like real. You can sort of relate to the struggles that they are going through. None of them feel like otherworldly or like over the top. They all feel like they are grounded in like a real personality, which is the type of stuff that I do like in anime. I do think it started to get a little bit convoluted just, you know, as it got closer to the end. And there's only so many times where it's just like, oh no, you know, I'm not going to get another chance after this, and then he fails and then gets another chance after this. That happened like 3 times towards the end, but you know, it's still a good show. If you like a good mystery, if you like a good supernatural mystery, I mean, Summertime Rendering is definitely there, even though it is not easy to watch legally. So you know, that is a thing that exists. That's okay. Moving on to number 18. I think we're going to stay in the B tier still. We have, where is it? I saw it. It's My Hero Academia season 6. Which, full transparency, I actually am still a couple episodes behind. But this season has been a lot of just action. The one thing that I do really like about the season is it's given some of the other characters time to shine. There's definitely been multiple episodes where like Deku either like hasn't been on screen or just like hasn't really done anything important, and other characters have gotten the chance to shine. So that's really cool. I do like a lot of the side characters in My Hero Academia, and it does sort of, you know, suck when they don't really get a chance to do much. So anytime that they do get the chance to shine, it's very good. I think Shigaraki has become like a really good antagonist and villain. So I do really like that. His sort of like, I don't know if I want to say growth, but you know, his growth into the role as like the main antagonist has been very good, I think. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, if you like action, I mean, yeah, My Hero Academia is bringing that in spades, and it's continuing on for the winter season. So I will, you know, probably have plenty more to say about it as it goes on. But yeah, it's I think it's still a solid show. I don't think My Hero Academia is like amazing, but I definitely don't think this is like the worst that Academia has been. So it is it's solid. It is solid. So we're up to number 17. I'm kind of looking around, like, when do I want to make the switch to the A tier? I think I see where the switch is going to happen, and I don't think it's going to be here yet, though this is really close to it. I'm going to talk about, wow, you really can't tell that that's what this is from this picture. This is To Your Eternity Season 2. Season 1 had its ups and downs. I think Season 2 has been mostly ups. I think Season 2 might be the best arc of To Your Eternity as a whole. Might be the second best. But I wasn't super on board with Bon as a character, but my tune definitely changed over time. He is fantastic, incredible character. The story went in directions that I was not expecting, and this is another one where I'm actually still currently watching. It's going into the winter season, so I think I'm actually probably like 2 or 3 episodes behind on what would have aired in 2022. So, I mean, this does have a chance to actually make it up to A tier if it continues the highs that it's on. But I don't really know where the story's going from here, and kind of go in a lot of different directions. But yeah, To Your Eternity Season 2, I think it's definitely been worth watching. Even as somebody who thought that Season 1 ended with a little bit of a, wasn't my favorite. Season 2 definitely started off strong and has really kept it up the whole way. So, yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, I'll still stick with B tier. It's really on the cusp, though. The problem is, I don't think the next 2 I can justify putting in A tier, though, either. So, we're going to stick with B tier, and we are going to talk about, oh gosh, where even is it? Where even is it? I think it's you. Also, I skipped one. All right, we're gonna go to the one that I skipped. I'm so bad at this. I was supposed to talk about Mobile Suit Gundam, the Witch from Mercury. That's supposed to go above Demon Slayer and below Akiba Maid War. Whoops. My bad. If anybody was watching being like, oh man, he must really love this Mobile Suit Gundam series that's going up, and I'm really excited for that. I'm sorry. This is one of the best soundtracks of all time, but this is another one where the main character is like, a little bit much for me, I think the silver-haired girl, Miorine, or whatever her name is, she was definitely the character that was like, carrying the whole show on her back for me. There were a couple other interesting characters, but there's a lot of like politics and stuff like that. But the fights are cool. The Gundams, mechs, all that sort of stuff, really cool. School setting is all right. There's a lot of like side characters that are just there that I don't care about. But it's a solid show, and I do still agree that would be in the B tier. So whoops, I forgot about that. Hopefully I didn't forget anything else. So this is 24, Akiba Maid War 23, Maid Abyss 22, 21. 20, and then yeah, 19 for Summertime Rendering, 18 for My Hero Academia, 17 for To Your Eternity Season 2, and then 16 for The Executioner and Her Way of Life. Definitely did not have the show on my radar. All it took was a couple videos to be like, hey, this is really cool, it has a good twist, and it absolutely does, and it sort of keeps that up. The main character is very cool. The main side character is a little bit overbearing, but has a very interesting twist that is still very fun. The action's pretty cool. I like the sort of twist on like the isekai, people are coming in and they're completely ruining the fantasy world that they're getting isekai to, and so it's literally her job, the main character's job, to just like kill people that are getting isekai'd in, which is a really fun twist. And yeah, she meets a girl that she's like unable to kill, and her entire goal is to try and figure out how to kill her, which is really cool. And there's more layers to that, and it's a lot of fun. A pretty overlooked anime, I think, at this point, and I just think it's so much fun and just really good. So I'm very glad that I watched that. It's a very good show. And it's number 16, so we're over the halfway point. So now to the top 15, but still staying in B tier for one last entry. We are going to put Komi Can't Communicate Season 2. Yeah, this is another one where like they didn't really grow any of the existing characters. They did introduce that new guy that like doesn't he doesn't talk that much, or like he talks really quietly, and then when he tries to speak, he like everything that he says gets like misunderstood. I forget his name, and if they introduced him at the end of Season 1, but he had like a more prominent role. That was really good. But the other characters, they're good. The relationship between Tadano and Komi is just like, it's kind of the same. At the end of Season 2, it's kind of at the same spot that it was at the end of Season 1. Which is like a little annoying. You know, I feel like they should have made some progress, but you know, romance anime go to romance anime, if you wouldn't even call it that. The jokes are good, but every character sort of fulfills their role as to like, you know, oh, I have this one character trait that I'm going to say, and I have this one character trait that I'm going to say, and they just kind of like, you know, revolve around that. But there are some of them that are really good, and some of them that are not. Oh my gosh, what is her name that's like awful? Is it Renai, whatever, the red hair girl? Whatever her name is, she's awful. I hate her so much. She's like one of the worst characters in anime. But then the other main character that isn't Komi or Tadano, they're really, really good. I like that character a lot, but I cannot remember their name at all. Unfortunately, it's been a hot minute since I watched it, but it was a good time. I liked seeing Komi did have a little bit of growth in terms of like speaking a little bit more, making more friends on her own without the assistance of Tadano, which is really, really good. Seeing the growth of Komi, fantastic. I don't know if the series is going to continue like in animation form, because I'm pretty sure it's a Netflix anime and they will just randomly stop, you know, doing anime for no reason. So we'll see if that continues or what. But it was a solid watch. Now we're going to move on to number 14, where we are going to start moving into the A tier. And the further I am away from watching this, the more I'm just like, wow, this was really, really good. We're gonna talk about Onipan. Onipan is a wild series. Each episode is like 14 minutes long, which includes the ending song, which is a banger, by the way. Both of them. There's two different ones. And it's just, you know, it's just these Oni girls trying to show humanity that Oni aren't so bad. And they're really funny. I like the dry sense of humor, the fourth wall breaking humor. It really hits me. I am a big fan, so that is why I really, really like the show. I don't know that many people have talked about it or watched it, but like I said, each episode is like 14 minutes. That includes the ending song, so there's literally about 10 to 11 minutes of like actual like show happening. So it's very easy to watch. I think it's pretty funny. I really enjoy it. Onipan is probably one of my favorite, just like sort of comedy anime. Yeah, if I'm looking at everything left, I was like, this is probably the only one. Well, except for maybe Kaguya-sama, we'll see. But like, maybe Spy Family as well. It's definitely up there in terms of just like the better like comedy anime of the year. So big fan of that. You should definitely check it out if you have the time. Number 13, we are going to talk about Bocchi the Rock. Bocchi the Rock is really, really good. The passion that the animators had for the show is just incredible. The amount of times that they switch like the art style, the animation style, the reactions from Bocchi whenever she has to do any sort of social interacting, you know, it's crazy good. I think Bocchi's a little bit over the top for me sometimes, which can make it a little bit hard to connect, but I do understand that she's a relatable character for a lot of people, and I do relate to her in some sense, but I don't know, probably not in the same way that other people do, but I do still respect that. The music's really good. The characters are all really good. The blue hair girl from Bocchi the Rock, Rio, she's also like up there for one of my favorite characters of the year. Just truly fantastic. I love her a lot. And yeah, it's just a good show. I understand where the hype comes from. It's like, you know, people are saying this is like the best anime winner 2022, and while I don't quite agree, I see it. I completely understand why. So yeah, Bocchi the Rock. If you haven't heard the hype by now, you definitely should have. I've definitely seen plenty of people talking about it. And it's a good show. So yeah, number 12 in the A tier, we are going to talk about Sasaki and Miyano. Yeah, we want to talk about relatable. This is my kind of first foray into like BL like anime. At least the first one that like specifically uses like terms and stuff like ume and seke and like, you know, the main character or which one's which? Gosh, I think Miyano, you know, he like specifically his main character trait is that like he is like super into like BL manga and stuff like that. So he like uses a lot of terms that like I didn't know about because I'm not super familiar with the genre. But I like seeing the relationship of these two sort of grow together, and you know, I'm interested to see it moving forward. I like all the characters, even the side characters are pretty good, and it was just a nice wholesome watch from start to finish. And they're not, you know, perfect like characters either. Definitely Sasaki is definitely dealing with a bit of jealousy, and sometimes it can get a little bit uncomfortable to watch, but I don't know, I like it's just a flaw that I like seeing him sort of work through. And you know, Miyano just sort of growing to sort of accept himself is also like really nice. So this is just a very solid watch. Probably the best pure like romance like anime of the year. It's a very, very good show. Speaking of very, very good shows, how about Shadow's House Season 2? It's been brought up multiple times by me that Shadow's House Season 2 is just so much better than Season 1. Season 1 was like fine, but left a lot to be desired. But Season 2 really just delved more into the world building, how things work, the adult side versus the kid side versus like all the sort of stuff, how things work. I mean, this was just an incredible, incredible like experience. Like, I don't know if they're going to keep making more of Shadow's House or not. I don't know how well it does, but also that doesn't always seem to matter when it comes to making sequels and stuff. So this could be one that we never see again. This could be one that we end up seeing 5 seasons of. I have no idea, but hopefully we do see more because I'm now sort of invested in Shadow's House. I think it's a very, very good show. And yeah, that was number 11. So now we're on to the top 10. These are the 10 best anime of 2022 that I watched. How about that? And at number 10, we are going to stay. I just kind of want to look. I was like, when do I move to the S tier? Not yet. Definitely not yet. Number 10 is going to be Healer Girl. Healer Girl is really, really fun and overlooked a little bit. But it is a musical anime, which is super fun. I like the idea of musicals. I've never gotten super into them outside of like, I don't know, Disney movies that, you know, they'll break into song or whatever. But I just really like this anime. I like the visuals, the singing, the characters, the camaraderie between the characters are really good. The show also got me really emotional. I think it was like episode like 7 or 8 or whatever. I mean, just truly fantastic. Every character in the show is good. Every time that they sing, it's good. Every time that they visually show what, you know, what their songs are doing and how they're healing their patients and everything like that, it's just really good. Healer Girl is just, it's a really good show, and it's one of those that just like, you know, the further time that I spent away from it, the more that I sort of look back fondly on and like. This one also might have my favorite ending theme of the entire year. It's hard to say, but I do really like it. Every time the ending theme came on, I was just like, yes, I'm so excited to listen to this again. And in a year without that many good ending themes to, you know, that I think, it is definitely, you know, up there for me. It is very, very good. So yeah, that's number 10. Number 9 is Tomodachi Game. Yeah. Tomodachi Game was a really, really fun experience for me. I love Battle Royale anime. I especially love Battle Royale anime where death isn't the consequence of, you know, failure, because when you're following a protagonist, you assume that they are going to win, therefore they can't die, therefore, you know, it takes away a little bit of the suspense. So the idea of a Battle Royale, for me, is that I like that just about anything can happen. And in this show, I mean, just about anything can happen. You know, they can win, they could lose, whatever. But this is another one where the main character is like not super good. You know, he's a little crazy, maybe even a little bit morally gray, or maybe even bad. I'm not entirely sure. But you know, it's very interesting knowing that he will cross some lines that other protagonists in other Battle Royale anime probably wouldn't. And he doesn't need somebody to like drag him around to do stuff for him. He is sort of the mastermind of a lot of the plans. And yeah, I like the characters. It's all very good. And I just really like Tomodachi Game a lot. I thought it was fantastic. Number 8, we are going to talk about Spy Family. I mean, Spy Family, obviously one of those anime that I just really think that you're gonna have a hard time disliking it. Whether this is your first anime, whether this is your 100th anime, Spy Family has something to offer everybody. The characters are really good, specifically the main 3. I do think that, you know, Lloyd, Yor, and Anya are all fantastic in their own rights. I mean, Anya is absolutely just like steals the show. She's just fantastic. The only things I don't really like is Yuri, Yor's brother, one of my least favorite characters of all time. Just really, really hate every time that he's on screen. And sometimes the stuff at the school is like, I don't know, it's like the sort of weird, like, you know, romance? I don't know, whatever like Becky is trying to get to happen at like school. I'm just like, do I need to watch the love affair of like 6-year-olds? Because like the answer is no, not really. But I don't know, you still also get to see like Anya being Anya, which is like always a treat. So Spy Family, you know, really good show. There's a reason why it's as big as it is. It's a, you know, it's a good watch. I again would find a hard time finding someone who would just like heavily dislike it for any reason. It is a good watch. And I think now we are finally ready to go into the S tier. Let's go. Number 7 is going to be Chainsaw Man. Yeah. Chainsaw Man still has the potential to be one of my favorite anime of all time. But I think I brought this up when I was talking about the anime that I watched of the winter season, and that is that Chainsaw Man. The best parts of Chainsaw Man happen later, so we're just getting the setup and like the introduction. But for what they had to work with, they really just knocked it out of the park. I mean, the animation is really good. People will say what they want about the CG or whatever. I don't really care. I think it looks perfectly fine. You get a good introduction to all the characters. It's another one where like the characters, are somewhat good, but at the same time they're in a sort of morally gray area, or sometimes even less so with characters like Power, which is just a lot of fun to watch. The dynamic of the characters are really good. Seeing everything that's happening is really, really good, and just being reminded of some of the stuff that I forgot about when I read the manga was really nice. And I mean, Chainsaw Man, I really hope that it continues being animated, and like not like 4 years from now. Hopefully, it's like sooner than that, because I do think that Chainsaw Man only gets better moving forward. So I'm hoping to see some of the better stuff, continue to get animated. But as of right now, I do think I'm confident with putting it as the 7th best anime of 2022. But there's a reason that the hype is there, and if you have not watched Chainsaw Man, you should. Also, something you should watch would be Kaguya-sama Ultra Romantic. Season 3 Kaguya-sama might be my favorite, at least the second half of it. The second half of it is some of the strongest stretches of like any anime of the year. It is really, really good. You really see more of a growth and culmination of everything that Kaguya and Miyuki go through. Like their relationship is like progressed to the point where it's just like, man, they might actually be ready to like confess to each other, which is like, the entire premise of the show was like, oh, they're going to make the other person confess, and they're not going to because, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know, just like the growth of all the characters, seeing Ishigami go through his whole little like side love thing, that was so much fun. There's just a lot of stuff to like in this show, and in this season in particular. I mean, Kaguya-sama is fantastic. People hype it up for a reason, because it's just really, really good. And I do think that season 3 is some of the peak of Kaguya-sama. Honestly, I mean, probably the whole thing is really peak, but like the second half is very, very strong. And I'm definitely proud to say that it's number 6. One that has snuck up really, really high for me is something that ended up being my favorite anime of winter 2022, and that is Blue Lock. Let's go. Blue Lock, I was skeptical at first. I really was. It had the makings of everything that I wanted it to be. It's a sports anime. It's a battle royale anime. It, was animated very, very nicely, and it had one of the best episode 1s of all time. Like, seriously, I loved the first episode so much. Then it started to hit a little bit of a lull, and they sort of broke everybody into teams, and I'm just like, well, putting people into teams sort of defeats the whole, battle royale, single elimination type thing, doesn't it? But it, in the long run, it's kind of served to help introduce you a lot of the characters that are going to be important moving forward. And the thing that really elevated Blue Lock for me is, I think starting with like episode 8 or 9, it just got so much better from there. And the last 2 episodes were incredible. They were incredible. The main character I had a bit of an issue with, because, he was just the sort of type of protagonist where, even though he's there, it just kind of felt like good things were happening to him without him sort of influencing that himself. The whole show is about like, you need to be aggressive, you need to be a striker, you need to do this, you need to do that. And he's just like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know. And he just kind of keeps like surviving and winning. But like, the growth that he goes through is like palpable. At like the end of the season, when he goes up to like the number 1 dude and is just like, I want to fight you, I'm just like, ooh, chills. This is the protagonist I want to see. I want to see somebody go up, be aggressive, get in someone's face. I'm now rooting for the protagonist. And like I said, in battle royale anime, you generally expect the protagonist is going to be the one that like wins, or at least maybe comes second place or something. So we know that he's going to last a long time, which means that the creators need to do a good job of making you want to root for that character, which is very hard for me to do, because I like rooting for the underdog. Therefore, if I expect the main character to win, usually I don't want them to. But I have to say, in this one, I'm really hoping he does, because, dude, like, he's so good now. The way that they kind of keep subverting my expectations, I'm so excited to watch the second half of Blue Lock. And if it keeps up that level of quality, Blue Lock is looking like a contender for Anime of the Year 2023. I'm dead serious about that. I'm so excited for the second half of the show. It was so good. I'm so glad that it ended up living up to the hype for me. Speaking of the second half of shows being really, really good, the second half of Ranking of Kings was in winter 2022. How about that? And it was just as good as the first half of Ranking of Kings. I mean, Boji is, fantastic. Kage, same thing, fantastic. The only thing is they do a little bit too much of the, oh no, this character's dead. Just kidding, we have magic. They're not dead now, and kind of do that a little bit more than they should. So there's that. But yeah, I don't really have much more to say. Ranking of Kings, fantastic. It got it got all the love that it needed last year. I don't know if the same love is being given this year or not, but I would not be surprised if it is. It's probably a good time to note 46 minutes into the video that I'm doing this before I've seen the Crunchyroll Anime Awards nominations. So I don't know what's nominated, I don't know what's not. But the video of me doing that has already been uploaded. So yeah, but this is being recorded before, but uploaded after. You know how it is. I just didn't want to spoil all of my anime picks before filling that out. So yeah, Ring of Kings, fantastic. And now we're on to some of the best ones. And kind of coincidentally, the top two is going to end up being one sequel, one new anime. So by eliminating one of these new anime, you're going to know what my best new anime of the year is. And the one that it is not is, unfortunately, your boy Kongming. Man, I love this show. It was so good. Eiko, the main protagonist, I think is like best girl of the year. I think she's probably my favorite character, maybe of the year. Definitely favorite female character. Like she was so good. She was rootable. I just loved the story. I loved every character that was introduced. This also had a banger of an opening, obviously. Oh, speaking of which, Ranking of Kings also, second opening, banger, absolute banger. You don't need to tell me. You don't need me to tell you that Chainsaw Man had a banger of an opening. But yeah. Anyway, I forgot. I was like, I want to make sure that I'm talking about that sort of stuff because I don't have a lot of chances to talk about banger openings. But your boy Kongming just has as ridiculous of a premise that it had some of the most down to earth characters that I just felt like I could relate to and understand the struggles with so much. And the only things that kind of like were any negatives for me were the fact that they went through a whole arc to recruit a rapper for like the song, and then he didn't even perform on like the main song at the end, which was very unfortunate. I really wanted him to have like a verse or like part of the song, but he just didn't. And they would sort of reuse some of the same songs. I wish they had more variety of the music, like when Eiko goes through her journey of like singing on the street and meeting that other girl. They would just sing the same song over and over again instead of like having any variety. And I do think that it would have helped to have a little bit of variety. But those are literally the only complaints. Everything else is perfect about the show. It is fantastic, and I love it a lot. And so the top two, I mean, I guess I can put them both in anime of the year just because like one's the best new anime, one's the best like sequel anime. If you're gonna make me order them, it's gonna be this. Where the best anime of the year is Attack on Titan, final season part 3. Is that what we're up to? Final season part 2, part 3? I don't know. I don't think these people know what final means. But I guess we'll save that for the end. The more exciting, the best new anime of the year is Awashi for me. Awashi has become my favorite sports anime. The protagonist is probably my favorite sports protagonist of all time. He reaches a level of being a little bit cocky and a little bit hyperactive, but also sort of reeling it back and still being rootable. You can sort of see his growth throughout the show. You can see some of the stuff that he has to react to, like the change into his position and role in the team, and trying to, really rediscover like a love for soccer because he isn't able to play it the way that he used to play it. And it's just really good. Every character, so good. They spent a lot of time setting up the dynamics so that way when they do get into the playing of the soccer, that everything, they don't need to stop and like do a ton of like backstory explanation. They do a little bit to establish other certain relationships, but like I don't know, I feel like they do a good job of like focusing on soccer, focusing on characters. The second opening of Awashi is my favorite of the year, so that is the best anime opening of 2022. Presence by Superfly. It is fantastic, and yeah, I mean Awashi, I cannot stop singing its praises. But I'm so glad that I got into a weirdly big sports anime phase this year, and that I just happened to start watching one of the best ones of all time. So yeah, that is fantastic. And then there's not much more to be said about Attack on Titan. It's literally one of my favorite anime of all time. I think it's my second or third favorite anime of all time. I always go back and forth between that and Code Geass, but I think Attack on Titan is like number 2 right now. And yeah, I mean, some of the best moments in Attack on Titan happened during the most recent season. So I don't want to give away too much, but you know, some of the craziest twists. You get to see a lot more of Eren, who was a little bit absent for the other parts of the final season, like part 1 and whatnot. So you get to see a little bit more about what he's up to, and things are coming to a head. And I'm not entirely sure when the actual final season part, 37 is coming out to actually finish off Attack on Titan. But whenever that does, that's also going to be pretty hype. And I'm also looking forward to how it ends and how anime onlys react to the ending, because I have read the ending of the manga, and it is divisive to say the least. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm looking forward to it. This is my ranking from best to worst, all 35 anime that I watched this year. And that is basically all I have to say about all of them. So let me know if you enjoyed this video and this format and all that sort of stuff. I would like to do something like this every year. And yeah, here's hoping that 2023 anime is good. Not off to the strongest start from what I can tell. But, I think that it will get better throughout the year. So I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, any sort of comments, opinions, reactions, let me know some of your favorites, least favorites, things that I didn't watch, that you think I should have, all that sort of stuff. Go ahead and leave it in the comments. And, subscribe, as, like I said, I do an anime recap every season to sort of keep you up in the loop as to what I'm watching throughout the year. And, yeah, that's about all I have. So if you stuck around this long, thank you so much. But I will see you around. So, till next time, peace out.